What's going on? In this video we are talking about imbuements and how important they are into keeping your playthroughs from being monotonous and kind of stale. So in the game there are 5 imbuements that you can mess around with. That's Solar, Chaos, Flora, Greed, and Shadow. What they are like little gems you put into the lost zones that put certain attributes into the dungeon, and you can also use them for buffs. And we'll go into that here in a little bit. First off, let's talk about how you get them. You can get them at the beginning from doing quests because they'll show you how to use them and give you some. Then you're going to get them from chests out in the world or in the lost zones. You can get them from crafting at the Echo Matrix here. You go to use Echo Matrix, you can see the different imbuements you can craft them with. They take gold and cracked spectras, which you get from the Highlands from breaking things open. And you can also get them from the rewards tower in these little bundle packs they have here, imbuement pack. So those are the ways that you can get the imbuements that you need to run the lost zones. Running up into the lost zone, you can see we have 2 slots here. You may have 1 slot depending on where you are in the story. As you progress through the main story, you will end up opening up 2 slots, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. But first off, your first slot, when you open imbuements, when you put something in the slot, it creates a mutator, and that mutator adds an effect to the dungeon that kind of affects what happens in the dungeon and how it plays. Each one has something different happen to it. If it's solar, it creates heat wave, where it says under sweltering heat, enemy attacks cause you to burn. Beware the heat wave that comes and goes. It will strengthen your foes. Then there's like chaos, which you'll have little random bombs appear and explode. Flora creates toxic poisons. Greed spawns piles of gold. When you pick them up, you get a little bit of money, but it also increases the damage you take from magic damage and physical damage from enemies. Shadow, your enemies get stronger when they get to half health, and then they kind of get larger, and when they die, they explode. So those are those imbuements and what they do as far as going into the mutators. If you double them up when you get ×2, you'll have 15 more combinations that you get to play with for the mutators. So that's adding a total of 20 different type of effects you can have in these lost zones. And these get kind of crazy as well. They become kind of fun to play with for some of them. The floras are all terrible because the poison is like the worst in the game. But everything else can be pretty interesting and pretty fun. So you can do solar, you can do solar chaos, greed, you can do all of those. And you'll end up doing them eventually because they're going to ask you to do some of these while you jump into the dungeons. We're going to just throw in a couple of these so you can get an idea of what we're looking at here. So while we jump into the dungeon, if you haven't yet, consider subscribing to the channel and like this video if it's found it useful so far. We've gotten over 40 videos in a playlist you guys can check out, but I'm going to show you something else that you can use that is very important with these imbuements that you should do, especially if you're coming across a dungeon that's higher level than you. So now that we are in the lost zone, you'll see these imbue challenges here, and you'll rarely see people use these, but these are actually pretty important. When you imbue these things with these different imbuements, you can only put 1 of them in there. It gives you a buff that lasts the entirety of the dungeon. Now, each one does something important. Solar gives you a 20% health increase. Chaos does a 40% stamina boost. Flora, which is I think the best one, gives you a 15% damage reduction. Greed gives you a 20% movement speed increase. And Shadow gives you a 15% damage boost. Like I said, these last the entirety of the lost zone, but once you leave the lost zone, it leaves you. Now, one of these chalices can be found as a trophy for your house. I don't know where you get it from quite yet. And then when you imbue the chalices in your house, you'll be able to have that buff out in the open world. So those are how the imbuements work right now. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. It looks like there's more room for more imbuements to be put in here because there's a lot of space there when you go to your imbuements section. And especially when you go here to your recipes, it's all this empty room. So there could be room for more imbuements to come. It'd be pretty interesting to see. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you have any questions, if you have anything that I missed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.